Hello, good day, and welcome. This is Brina, and we are back with this week's midweek motivation. Thank you for tuning in again today. We go live every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate your support. Please be sure to like and share the video. And as always, I would love to hear your comments on the word that we're going to share. And welcome to all of our brand new listeners. We're glad to have you. All right, so the word for today is going to come from the book of 1 Samuel chapter 3, and I'm going to read verses 1 through 10. And reading from the New International Version, it says, "The boy Samuel ministered before the Lord under Eli. In those days, the word of the Lord was rare. There were not many visions. One night, Eli, whose eyes were becoming so weak that he could barely see, was lying down in his usual place. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was. Then the Lord called Samuel. Samuel answered, 'Here I am.' Then he ran to Eli and said, 'Here I am, you called me.' But Eli said, 'I did not call. Go back and lie down.' So he went and lay down. Again the Lord called, 'Samuel.' And Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, 'Here I am, you called me.' 'My son,' Eli said, 'I did not call. Go back and lie down.' Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord. The word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. The Lord called Samuel a third time, and Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, 'Here I am, you called me.' Then Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy. So Eli told Samuel, 'Go and lie down, and if he calls you, say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And verse 10, the Lord came and stood there, calling as at the other times, 'Samuel, Samuel.' Then Samuel said, 'Speak, for your servant is listening.'" So the word for today is listen. Listen. And so what I want to talk about today is what listening for God's voice looks like. So the first point I want to make is be still. So when Samuel heard God's voice and he got up, he thought it was Eli's voice, and he went to Eli to say, "Here I am, you called me." Eli told Samuel to go and lie down, go lay back down. To be still is what Eli was saying. How can we listen while there is so much noise and commotion and activity going on around us and all kinds of things that are distracting us from hearing the voice of God? One of my favorite passages of scripture is Psalm 46:10. And that says, "Be still and know that I am God." And I've seen in my life many times that whenever I get still is when I can hear clearly God's voice as to what to do, what instruction to take. But that happens when I get still. And I say this often, and I may have said it on here, but I always say, how can we hear from God on the run? It's difficult to do that. So the first thing is to be still. Secondly, what listening for the voice of God looks like is go into the Word. Seek God in His Word. Now, this is something we should be doing all the time, not just when we're looking for an answer to something. And especially for us teachers and preachers, we're not going to the Word just when we have to teach a lesson or prepare a sermon. But we should seek God in His Word, all of us, not just the preachers and the teachers. But we should seek God in His Word all the time for our own edification, to build us up day after day. And this is things that we do we do it intentionally. We make time, we plan, we set aside time to go to the Word. Because the Word is one of the ways that God speaks. God chooses to speak in many ways, but one of them is through His Word. So that second thing that we can do as we listen for God's voice is to go to His Word. And then thirdly, we are patient. So God was calling Samuel and called him 3 times. And every time God called and Samuel went to Eli, Eli told him to lay back down, to wait, until finally Eli realized this is God speaking to this boy. And so Eli instructed Samuel that when God called again to say, "Speak, Lord, I am listening. Your servant is listening." And God will speak in His time, not in ours. So we might want the answer to something like right now, but God will reveal it in His time. And I'll give you an example. So when I prepare these messages, I normally do it on Tuesday. I'm prayerful throughout the week, but Tuesday is normally the time that I say, okay, let's make a decision on what we're going to cover in the words. And I do other things on Mondays. But this particular week, the things I had to do on Monday, it just wasn't flowing. It just wasn't coming. So I finally said, okay, God, I have my schedule, but I'm going to set my schedule aside and I'm going to hear from you. And as soon as I did that, God gave me the word on Monday, not my normal routine, but He gave me this word on Monday instead of Tuesday. And then once He gave me that, I was then able to flow with the rest of the stuff that I was seeking Him for. The rest of it began to come so I could move forward on those things as well. My point is, God speaks in His time, not ours. So we have to be patient and wait on Him and flow with Him and not force Him to flow with us. So as we are listening for the voice of God, we are to be still, we're to go to His word, and we're to be patient as we wait for God to speak. So the word for today is listen. I hope you got something out of that today. Again, like and share the video. Let me hear your comments. I would love to interact with you, and we will see you